The time is 11:31, and we do have a pretty robust presentation today because we plan to go through a strategic plan our Bloomington-Normal EDC board just approved. So we're a little bit light on the numbers side of things. We're going to go over the main metrics, but not take a deeper dive like we usually do into each individual industry. If anyone would like a follow-up of that, more than happy to send you those numbers. So we thought we'd try out some new technology, this being by the numbers, try to get that face-to-face back, which we missed in the past. So first, we'd like to thank our sponsors, of course, Illinois State University. Hopefully we'll be over there Q1 next year, maybe, if everything goes according to plan. Central Illinois Regional Airport, WGLT, Serban, B104, WBNQ, WJBC, The Bull, Cities 92.9, and Magic 99.5. Thank you for your support and helping us spread the word on BN by the numbers. Of course, I am Patrick Hoban. That could be hard to read. I'll promise not to zoom in and out too much to make everybody a little seasick from these slides. But I am the CEO of the Bloomington-Normal Economic Development Council, a graduate of Millikan University, and I ended up finishing up at Notre Dame with a master's in business analytics, which is why I enjoy being by the numbers. So the theme for this one is wrapping up 2020. I don't know about the rest of you, but I'm glad to put a bow on this one and get into 2021. Not to say that all things are bad, because things are not too shabby around here. So following the same format as we have for our other BN by the numbers, we like to take a look at the impact, the overall numbers, how your local leaders reacted, and then what we plan on doing moving forward. So for this one, we're going with strategy as the theme. Last quarter, we went with football, and the one before that was boxing. So I figured since this is a strategic plan reveal, let's stick with a little bit of a strategy. So right off the bat, we're going to take a look at our employment trends. And we do look at two different data sets for that. One is the local area unemployment statistics, and the other one is the current employment statistics. We'll start off with the local area unemployment statistics. These are the numbers of the people that are actually working here regardless, or sorry, that live here regardless of where they work. So you could be living in Bloomington-Normal in our MSA, and you could work here in Bloomington-Normal, or you could be working somewhere else. So these are our actual workforce numbers. So I might have made a joke last time about how everything would drop right before the election, and sure enough, it did. Our unemployment is down compared to where it was. You can see the big spike in April when everything hit. But in March, we were actually at 2.6% unemployment, which is pretty low, especially for an area with so many jobs being added. But things are going down. So the fear with unemployment, though, dropping this fast is, are the people actually getting back in the workforce, or are they just no longer qualified for unemployment? The good news is they're getting back in the workforce. This number actually kind of shocked me here for October, that we're actually close to last year's numbers at this time, being up there at the 92,000 people employed locally compared to 93. And so the total labor force combined of unemployed and employed is extremely close to where we were at last year. I'm not sure how that's going to look with the new restrictions that have been put into place because these are October's numbers. And as always, we end up, when we scheduled this, did not take a look at the calendar, but the data will be released today. So by the end of the slide, we should have November's numbers. So a little bit of math to get the ratio of how the unemployment rate is figured, because unemployment rate is what everybody likes to look at. Even though it's a ratio, I'm more interested in the people who are unemployed and who are employed. But our rate, when compared to the rest of our surrounding region, is we're one of the lowest for sure. Down there with Champaign and below Illinois. But you can see everybody is slowly but surely recovering, which is a good thing. So now the numbers that we really take a look at the EDC, because we do have some influence over these, are the current employment statistics. These are the numbers of people that actually work here regardless of where they live. So according to this map, it shows that there was actually 33,000 people, close to 34, that come in every single day to work. And you can see those numbers are on the rise as well. And then last time, this is when we took a deeper dive in to see how we compared to everybody else in the region. And it was a little unsettling when we started noticing some of our areas were much lower, in the middle of those summer months compared to everybody else. Then came to the realization that we're a huge college town. So a lot of that was down because of that. And then we start taking a look at our seasonally adjusted, and that's where it tries to flatten everything out. And you can still see that the amount of people that are working here is below where we're at last year. But this should continue to rise as more jobs are added at some of our recently announced projects. Now, retail sales tax, it is the holiday season and hopefully everybody is shopping locally. And again, pleasantly surprised that this number is holding its own. The last time we did a BN by the numbers, we released the July numbers and was completely shocked that over the last 2 years that we exceeded the sales. Now we're holding steady, which is great. Hopefully this does go up. Hopefully everybody is shopping locally, as I mentioned, because whenever you shop locally, those dollars are put right back in your economy compared to shopping online. I know how easy it is, but when you're online, that goes to somebody else's economy. Now the investment, the big one for us that follows a lot of the projects that we like to work on are the permits themselves. So these are the projects that are happening in all of McLean County. The total number of projects is below where we're at, about by 50 compared to last year. But as projected at the last BN by the numbers, we actually blew investment out of the water. So we're up over $100 million compared to last year. I'm sure you've read in the paper. I'm even seeing some of the great projects that are coming for next year as well with Ferrero Rocher's announcement of a new chocolate factory. I see this continuing, maybe not at this level because this is pretty impressive. And I think when November and December's numbers come out, it's just going to keep going up. So these are great numbers for us because they not only provide the long-term jobs, but also this type of investment creates a ton of temporary jobs in the construction field, which also ripples through our economy. So it's great to have those wonderful numbers and things are seeming to be looking up. We do need to still get out and about and help out our local retailers, mom and pops especially, the restaurants with what's going on right now. We do have some programs out there to assist with that. But other than that, we wanted to take a look at what we tried to start doing, I think at Q1, which was get a strategic plan in place for our EDC. So to take a look at the strategic planning process, our goal was to come in, assess the community whenever we started and find out, what had worked before, what we needed to improve on, and really took a look at the BN Advantage. Like this was a document that was done in 2015. It was a very thorough document, and I think we counted about 99 different initiatives in it. So 99 initiatives, that's quite a lot for everybody to try to tackle. And our goal now going forward is to take the initiatives that are in there that would be economic development related, bring those back to the EDC, and then take the name itself, the BN Advantage, and turn that into a marketing campaign. So partnering with our Chamber of Commerce and the CVB, and really using that to tell the romance side of why it's so great to live in Bloomington-Normal and be the happiest place in America, which we were just ranked. Wonderful sales pitch on that one. But for today's presentation, we really want to take a deep dive into the economic development strategic plan, which our board put together. So the strategic plan itself, I know you guys have seen me talk about this flywheel before, and the flywheel really covers 3 main areas, which is a framework for economic development. We always want to develop our resources, which is really our talent and our infrastructure, making sure we've got great places to live, help out our current businesses because normally 80% of your investment comes from your local businesses, and then also working on those projects, which is where a lot of economic developers spend most of their time. That's dealing with incentives, encouraging development, marketing out to new ones, and then managing the projects themselves. So to get this in place, I've come up with a plan to convert all the great work that was done in the original BN Advantage document and put it into our new format. We heavily relied on the masterminds behind it all, which was our BN EDC board. And we are coming up on the end of the year. So we do have some new board members coming on next year, which we're going to be very excited to announce. But personally, I wanted to thank Bill Lawrence, who is not on this call. With Bill, he was our chairperson this year, but he was wonderful behind the scenes, especially during a pandemic. Also, a big thank you to sorry, Leanne Seal, who's actually coming off the board, but also Tom Good, who's coming off the board as well. And then next year, we're very excited to execute this plan with Puneet Lika, who was very helpful in the final stages of the strategic plan as well, making sure we're on the same page. And then our past board chair, John Hesse. So the three, John Hesse, Bill Lawrence, and Puneet have been kind of my guide behind the scenes, my own exec board, as we work through this plan and getting everybody lined up. Now, we have this going on, but in order to pull this off, so it's not all of us, we had to bring in some outside talent. And with that, we recruited Pawnee Adam, from a strategist from State Farm. So like a good neighbor, I thought we would have Pawnee step in and give us a little bit of background on how he helped lead us through this. Pawnee, are you on?
I am. Can you hear me, Patrick?
Yes.
So Patrick, I appreciate the introduction. I just want to say, I appreciate the opportunity to volunteer. It was Patrick and Bill who had approached me a while back, I would say back in January of this year, asking, I think this is a good time for us to relook at our overall strategy for EDC. The thing that Patrick and Bill had asked me back then was, we want the strategy to really reflect the value that we want to continue to add to our stakeholders. How do we do that the best way possible? The other thing that they asked was, we need to serve our community. That includes everyone out there in the community. Pawnee, can you help us think through a framework or a thought process to do this the best way possible? So again, I appreciate the opportunity to collaborate with them. The board, Bill, and especially Patrick, the amount of passion, commitment that you showed for this work was tremendous, considering the fact that we had to do this virtually this year. Patrick, especially your expertise in economic development was immensely valuable in introducing concepts of strategy along with the expertise and the subject matter content that you bring to the discussion from an economic development perspective. So if you want to step into the next slide, Patrick, when I think about strategy, and several people on the call probably relate to this, I think about it as these are strategic choices that we make to move us from where we are to where we need to go. So a really good strategy really helps us do a few things. One, it really paints a clear future for us. Where do we want to be in the future? I think that was a question that the EDC board and others were really thinking about. But also, it also helps us think, really understand, where are we today? When you think about the example that I share with you is, when you think about taking a trip, you want to know your destination, but you also want to know where you are at. For you to really plan that destination, you need to know both those data points, but you also need to figure out, now that I know where I am, and now that I know where I want to go to, I have a set of choices to make. I can fly there, I can drive there, I can take a train. All of those different choices are how you get from where you are to where you need to get to. A really good strategy also enables you to do a few things. One, it enables you to say yes to the right things, but also helps you say no to the things that you don't want to pursue. I think the no aspect is so critical that Patrick and the board honed in on is, we want to know what we don't want to pursue, along with the ones that we do want to pursue. The other thing that you look for a strategy, and I relate to this as a long-suffering Bears fan, you want to know where you are in the game at any given point in time. What is that scoreboard that you look to say, am I winning or am I losing? I think that's the other piece that Patrick said, Pawnee, if there isn't anything that you achieve with us, what he said he needs is, I need that scoreboard that I can relate to know how we're doing, which is, lack of better words, a dashboard that was needed to know how we are trending. So if you go to the next slide, Patrick, Those are the things that we try to accomplish through the strategic planning work. It was a series of workshops. The first workshop, and by the way, all of them were held virtually. First one was trying to get at where are we today as a community, as EDC, as the economic development engine of this community. Two, where do we want to be? Collectively, what is that state that we want to be at that would really add value to all our stakeholders and our community collectively? What is that win-win-win situation that EDC can add to? The third thing was the how. How do we get there? And every step of the way, do we know if you're making progress? So if you advance the slide, Patrick. So we address those questions through those workshops at each point in time. Just because we were dealing with a virtual scenario, we asked Patrick to take a point of view on things. We got together with the board to get their input at every stage, and then formulated a series of initiatives and efforts that would head us towards that future state. So what you will see in some of the slides that Patrick will be covering with you are, we have a sense for where we want to be, and the board approved that. We have a clear sense of where we are. Patrick is going to walk you through where are we hedging our bets? What are the investments that we are making to help us get to that future state? So that was the thinking that went behind the scenes. As always, if you have any questions, please reach out to Patrick or I offline. Happy to give you the perspective on the approach that's taken. But the intent at the end of the day is, how does EDC add value to its stakeholders and community? And I give a lot of kudos to Patrick to think about that core notion of value and the expertise and the passion he has shown for the work. So back to you, Patrick. Thank you.
Awesome. Thank you very much for the setup and all the time. I know that we had the 3 sessions with the board, but I can't count how many times you and I met all over Bloomington-Normal just to try to find out how to set this up via Zoom. Because I've done this before, and I'm sure you have many times in person, but to create the same feedback, which we didn't know how it was going to go. And I can say that we were pleasantly surprised at how much information we received and input on this. So we're really looking forward to this. And also to everybody out there at home, there will be a way that you can download the full strategic plan, so you don't have to take notes at the end, but then also add input. This plan is only for about a year and a half. We want to get to a long-term plan, which is actually one of the initiatives in here that we'll get to. So to jump in, the implementation of the plan itself, I'm going to zoom in because there's no way that you're going to be able to read this. We have 4 ongoing initiatives. These are things that the EDC needs to do all the time. So we broke this down originally into the ongoing initiatives, into short-term initiatives that are planned, and then we had a list of short-term that were unplanned, and then some long-term initiatives. So the goal was to try to get us to a place where we do have the workforce that we need for all of our expanding companies. We do diversify our employer base because we are heavily reliant on 3 major industries. I'll let you all take a guess on what those are. But then also there's just a lot of opportunity, especially with technology. It is a war for talent, and we've got a lot of great partners here with the Chamber and the CVB and all the municipalities. And it's great that a lot of them are represented on our board. So for the things that we look at, you'll see each of these are broken down back to that framework that we go over by goal. There is development investment, develop business, and develop resources. And then underneath it is the objectives. So we could have multiple initiatives that fall into each objective. So right off the bat, number 1, these are all prioritized as well. Project management. The prime example of this is what's going on with Rivian, but also Ferrero. Whenever someone is ready to invest, get the deal done, we have to walk them through the process. This probably is still hard to read, the text that's in here, but like I said, there is a downloadable document that we will provide links to. Each one has a description of the initiative, where it fits into the strategic plan. A big point of this that Pawnee wanted to make was that we had SMART goals. so that there were ways to, with a scoreboard, like you said, with the Bears, unfortunately, hopefully better than what the Bears do, but we will be able to track what the expected benefits are, what our risks are, and then the success metrics, short-term, long-term, but then also corresponding leading indicators. So these will all create individual funnels for each one of these items that we can track, because at the EDC, we track all of our activities, and those can be funneled into a dashboard, as Pawnee mentioned. So for this one, the name of the game is investment. We want to make sure that there's investment going on in this community, because every time that there is a project, we can show what the direct impact is. We can show what the indirect impact is. So if there's a direct impact and, Ferrero creates 50 jobs, that's 50 new employees. It's also creates an indirect, because whenever you're building that facility, though, they have to go out and buy supplies. So that creates more jobs. And then there's also the induced impact. The induced impact is where everybody eats and all the services that they use that are employed there. So these are all things that we track. We want to make sure that we're retaining jobs, creating jobs, how much taxes is coming out of there, and investment overall. And for us, the pipeline is going to be how the leads are, how many are coming in, and how many of those that we actually convert. Because we have quite a few projects and we don't win all the time. I wish that we had a really good batting average, but that's just not how this game is played, because it's highly competitive. The next one, number 2, is BRE, business retention and expansion. And that is taking care of our own. We want to make sure that all of our local businesses know about all the incentives and getting in front of them and helping them expand, because there are a lot of tools out there that some of our bigger companies across America know about because they have specialists. This is a way, and this is actually Amber's primary role, is to make sure that she's reaching out to our local businesses, finding out what they need to grow, and getting investment, and hopefully getting them into the project category. The next one is development and retention and attraction. For us, the developers, prime example, a big one was just announced last week. Time's kind of blurring together, but with the Wildwood property. So with Wildwood, that starts, you have an investor interested in coming in and redeveloping a 500,000 square foot, I'll call it a blighted property. It's sat vacant long enough. They put some TLC in that, and they landed a major tenant. And so that is a prime example of, making sure that the developers are happy and bringing in new developers with outside ideas. Because as we get more developments and we take care of the properties that we have, it creates more room for our businesses and new businesses to grow. Business attraction. This is a really exciting part. I think this was what originally a major role of BNEDC was to get out and about and talk to site selectors, businesses that are interested. There are people still moving forward, as you saw with Ferrero. So it's getting our name in front of those businesses and those site selectors. We've got some really cool tactics that we're doing underneath this. It's one of the reasons that we started our podcast, which is called Building BN. If you haven't listened to it, you can find it on Apple Podcasts or anywhere podcasts are, or just go to our website. But we really like to tell the story of what's going on in Bloomington-Normal and get that message out to as many people as possible. And we're really looking forward to getting back out and doing it in person. We're doing a lot of Zooms. It's not quite the same. The goal of business attraction, though, at the end is to get them to convert, come in town for a familiarization tour, show them what we have going on, and hopefully get them to invest just like Ferrero did and one of the other projects last year, Contact. Number 5 on here is the standardized incentive. So this is one that we've talked about for a while that hopefully you're going to get in place early next year. The goal is to have one incentive package that everybody uses. And with this one incentive package, it'll actually level the playing field because our surrounding communities already have this in place. I'm pretty sure I've talked about this enough, but this is one that's basically really easy to score. We got it approved or we didn't. So there's a lot of impacts that come with this because it really helps us with marketing attraction, streamlining incentives, and the projects themselves. So that was actually out of order because that's supposed to fall under the short term. So this was planned. So underneath short term, you're going to see still a very large portion of what we do is under develop investment. That's what most people think of economic development agencies. We do have one coming up under develop business and then a couple coming up under develop resources. So the second one that's under our short-term plan is One Voice. We've been very lucky with One Voice. I would say I went on my first one last year, and I was just amazed at the camaraderie, how much you can really learn from each other out there. But I really believe the elected officials like it that we're coming out there with a set of projects, and you can see it because the money comes back. I mean, Connect Transit got a huge amount of money for this, so it's a wonderful experience. It's going to be really tough this year. I think we're going to be doing it just like this. It'll be a Zoom version, but still to work with the local elected, the leaders out there, Pam Reese, Tim Gleason, Camille, to find out what our community needs and match those up with all the funding opportunities. Because there's tons of pots of money across the board, whether it's state, whether it's federal, and we need to make sure that we have shovel-ready projects that are ready to go. So that's what One Voice is all about. It's sharing the concerns with the elected, but also to bring dollars back. And I'm happy to say it's been working out wonderful. So this is one that we're going to continue to do. The next one is BN STEM. So the BN STEM initiative actually started here at the EDC with partnership from State Farm, was over at the Chamber for a little bit, and this is all in workforce readiness. And now it's back here at the EDC. So our role with BN STEM, we have an outside consultant, and our BRE manager, Amber, is working very closely with them in finding out what the needs are when it comes to STEM related activities, just to get everybody interested in all the wonderful careers that we have here. Because workforce, you're gonna hear me say it time and again, it's gonna be a battle for talent. And this is the first step in the readiness phase to get students interested in all the wonderful fields that we have here. Because I know everybody sees the commercials with Jake from State Farm and thinks that it's insurance, but there's a lot more that goes into that. And also with my background in data analytics, I want as many coders as possible coming out of this community, because that is where the future is heading. Also, I know Rivian's gonna need quite a few of these as well. Workforce attraction. So one of the things that we did this year, is we got together with everyone in the workforce arena, and we started mapping out what it was that everybody was working on. And we are really great at workforce readiness. We're really good at upskilling. There's programs in place for that. The Chamber's got some wonderful programs for workforce retention, but outside of the private sector, there wasn't a lot being done for workforce attraction. So whenever we go out on BRE visits and we would say, hey, how's your pipeline coming? Are things lined up? They do have people coming in, but as we grow, and with 2.6% unemployment before the pandemic hit and major expansions on the way, we need people. So we are going to invest in workforce attraction. We're going to work with probably a consultant going forward, line up ways to try to recruit not just businesses, but people into the community. And what a great time to do it after just being named the happiest place in America. And all of a sudden, hopefully the next year or two, our town's going to smell like chocolate as well. I think this could be easier to do than what we originally planned, just because all the great projects that are coming out. So for us, it's going to be targeting not only the college students that are here to getting them to stay around, but also going through LinkedIn and other alumni to find out, what people are out there that are from this area that we can get to come home. Like I'm a prime example. I'm from Central Illinois, went to Chicago for a while, found a great opportunity here. And one of the factors for being the happiest place in America is high educational attainment, high wages, and low cost of living, and short commute times. Like I'm so happy to have a 10-minute commute compared to what I was dealing with before. And also back for this one, for workforce attraction, I do have people on here that we sent direct links to for this that are from the Chicago area. You are the talent that we're looking for to come down here. So anytime you want to come down on the Amtrak, more than happy to host you, to line you up with some of our wonderful employers here in town. This is one I cannot wait to get started. BN Forward is a grant matching program. I'm sure you've been monitoring the programs that we have, and there have been a ton of them that came out during the pandemic. And during all this, I think the number one lesson we learned was how hard it was just to track them all, but then really to get them in front of everybody, because we have different applications for every single program. So the state had multiple programs that came out. The feds had a program. McLean County has a wonderful program that we administer. Normal does, and then Bloomington does. So there's all these programs. And whenever ours came out, my cell phone still rings off the hook, and I have to explain to everybody what they qualify for and what they don't. So the goal with BN Forward is a incentive matching program. So the idea is that you fill out your company profile, you get all that information in there one time. And then as the state or locals or the feds release new programs, we send it to you because we already know you qualify and half the application's already filled out. This is going to save us a ton of time and hopefully lighten up my cell phone because it'll be so much easier to let people know ahead of time, hey, this is you, you're good to go, just finish up these final things and then we'll get it to the right people. Because right now it's a lot of phone tag back and forth trying to update being prepared, which that's going to continue to run, but this program will automatically just play matchmaker between it. So we're really looking forward to getting people to adopt to this program and pushing out grants that way. And also it's going to help out with the forgivable loans, which we're just out and about delivering some of those checks recently. So it's very successful now that they are forgivable. We've got a lot of people interested, but this is also a way to help streamline that incentive process. The next one is it's a cool technique. I have seen it a couple times and I've already ran into some candidates here locally, business-wise, that could use this. So the idea behind economic gardening is that we would raise funds, which we've already allocated in our budget, to hire a team of consultants depending on what the needs of a company are. So we have some companies here in town that can take the next steps if they have some help with strategy, or if they have some help with marketing, or even finances. Some people don't know, they're really good at what they do, but they don't know how to structure a project for finances. So with this, what we're hoping to do is gather a collection of, lack of a better word, just local consultants that we have already allocated funds for to hire to go help these businesses expand. And the idea is that we get the consultant team in there, we outline the scope of the project, we pay for the consultants, the company grows, and then in return, a couple of years later, they invest back in the same economic gardening program. So this is a really cool technique that we can grow our own from within, because there's a lot of great companies here that most of us haven't even heard of. But when you get in there and you see what the possibilities are, we know that they can grow. So this is a way that we can match them up with local talent, pay the local talent to help them grow and hopefully expand and get some really nice ROI and grow from within. The next one, Rural Development Fellowship. As soon as I got here and I noticed that the ISU Stevenson Center was right in our backyard and they had fellows, I was like, we got to get a fellow. Like there's to have that in your backyard, this crop of economic developers coming up and to get them some real world experience, this is going to be fantastic. So the goal of the fellowship, we are a very, very large county. We're the size of Rhode Island with multiple municipalities. We want to get partner with ISU and hire a Stevenson Fellow to come in, and we're going to teach them economic development, and we're going to expand our services out into the rural communities. We're trying to do that now, but we are a staff of 4. So with this, really partnering with Nick on the development side, making sure that we're inventorying all the available land, all the available space, and giving these students coming out of ISU, getting their master's in economic development, some real world experience. I think it's going to be a great way to help out all the mayors that are out there in the smaller communities because Bloomington-Normal does get the bulk of the attention, and there's a lot of great projects coming here, but there's a ton of potential out in the rural areas. So this development fellowship is a way that we can, twofold help out some local students, hopefully get them to stick around as well, but then get out further into the rural communities and just expand economic development. Our next one is pretty cool, using some new technology, similar to what we're doing with this presentation, getting more involved virtually, because it's pretty hard to get site selectors or businesses in town. So what we want to do with this is really rely on some drone footage, possibly even jump into 3D modeling, and then also augmented reality, so that we can create virtual tours of some of our vacant spaces, some of our vacant buildings, and show them what they could be. This is something I've had experience in the past. Back in the day when I did go to ISU, when I was an art major, graphic design, we did a lot of 3D modeling, and we created Indicator, what was it? TGI Fridays, Ruby Tuesdays, and Outback. And we made a model of it on vacant land, sent it out to everybody, and they ended up landing a Ruby Tuesdays. So this is the same thing that we can do. The technology has just gotten cheaper over the years. It's just a matter of lining up some talent to assist with this. But I think it'll be a way to develop site showcases that we can get in front of site selectors and businesses without actually getting them in town. I mean, COVID is here. It's hopefully going to go away, but I think people are adapting to this online world of presentations. And this is a way that we can get a one-up and hopefully better package some of our properties. So all of the realtors that are out there, on the call right now, really appreciate if you've got any, buildings that are out there that could use something like this, love to partner with you and create some virtual tours at the EDC's expense to help better market your highly potential sites. So those were the short term. Now, long term, these are all ones that we want to get done after the short terms are done. So these are ones that we do not plan on getting in place this year, but we still want to get started. And again, these are actually spread evenly across the board, one in each category. But right off the bat, we need a community vision. I mean, right now, being able to say we're the happiest place in America is fantastic, but we need a brand. We've got BN, we've got a wonderful logo, but what else comes behind that? Like whenever somebody asks us, what are we known for? For me, I'm going to change it based off of who I'm talking to. If I'm talking to talent and they're married, totally different conversation compared to somebody that could be single from Chicago. If I'm talking to a business and distribution, I'm going to really focus on the infrastructure that we have here. If it's technology, I'll tell them stories about Rivian and all the wonderful talent we've got coming out of ISU and Wesleyan. So we change the story based off of who we're communicating to. But overall, we need one bigger vision. So this is almost like another version of Be an Advantage, and we're going to need a lot of help with this one. But it's something that we're going to have going forward in our post-COVID world. As we said in the beginning of this strategic plan is only really aimed for a year and a half, just so we can get something stood up and start knocking off some initiatives. But one of these initiatives is going to be coming forward, a community vision. So this is going to be a really cool project in the future. It's something we should probably start talking about now and getting teams lined up. The next one is already going on as well. It's called BN Innovation Alliance. And this is all infrastructure related. It's smart city technology. This is probably going to be a really cool one voice trip as well. But it's in its infancy right now. There's a lot of ways that we can all collaborate better, especially whenever we've got these new smart cars coming around. And if we're wanting to attract, businesses and help our current businesses stay here that are on the tech side of things, we have to be a smart city. And that means a lot of things to a lot of different people. And this collaborative is in place, but there could be an opportunity to expand this. So it's something that we wanted to keep on the long-term plan, because as Pawnee said, the strategic plan was put in place not only to give us focus on what to work on, but also give us the ability to not work on things. So we wanted to make sure that this was still a part of our goals, because it has everything to do with infrastructure. And without this, it's going to be really hard for our local businesses to grow and attract new ones. So we're proud to play a part of this with the town of Normal, the county, and then also the city of Bloomington. As this expands, I can't wait to get more information out about it. There's a lot of talent on this right now, but this is going to be huge on the infrastructure side of things in order to set us up for the future. And then last but not least is the entrepreneurship ecosystem. So this was one that in the Be an Advantage document, the EDC was actually tasked with. So we were supposed to come up with ways to expand entrepreneurship. We did help set up the SBDC, and the SBDC over at Wesleyan is a wonderful tool for you if you're just getting started. But there are other aspects of entrepreneurship that could be in place. And I know that ISU's got some in the pipeline, but having an incubator, having maker spaces, having a shared spaces available, and some of those do exist, but they're scattered a little bit everywhere. So having one big ecosystem framed up, lined up the same way that we're doing with workforce for this year, entrepreneurship is going to be what comes next, because there is a ton of brain power in this community. I'm really positive that we can do quite a few startups if we get everything outlined. So again, going forward, this is last on our list of 15 initiatives. But going after we get workforce set up, because that's number one. Without talent, we're not doing anything. We really want to take a dive and partner with everybody on standing up a full entrepreneurship ecosystem. So after saying all that, we created this plan, got it all lined up. And like I said, you can download it. We'll shoot you a link later. But then what are we going to do after we've put this thing into place? So again, starting off with reflection. And this kind of reminds me of that scene in Ghostbusters where they turned around and looked and said, "What did you do, Ray?" Because I'm pretty sure my staff did the same thing when we did this, because honestly, these are 15 initiatives. There are 5 other initiatives that are internal. So we have, I believe as Pam put it, a very robust strategic plan to try to accomplish in the next year, year and a half. You can see where the focus is. We still have the bulk of the focus in develop investment because that's what everybody wants. You want to see that return. We have a little bit in taking care of our businesses and then also on the resource side. So these are 15 things in order of priority, and there will be dashboards associated with them all so we can keep track of the score. And the goal is to hopefully knock them out. And in order to do that, we mentioned the dashboard. So here's some of the things that we're looking at as far as the overall metrics. So when we've got lead metrics and lag KPIs. So our lead metrics, we're really focused for leads for businesses, for developers, and for talent. We also want to track the amount of businesses that we've assisted, which we're already doing that. Same with developers, same with talent, and then the conversion. So these are going to be funnels for each one of these. And one thing that we really want to make sure that is included with all these are the follow-up. And those lag KPIs, that is your ROI. So just because we help out a ton of businesses, doesn't mean that you're going to have a huge ROI. We want to make sure that we are helping out the right developers, the right businesses, and the right talent to give us our biggest returns. So to do that, we're going to be looking at investment numbers, which we already track, jobs created and retained, same, and then the economic impact. And so the goal with that is to track the private investment, but then also the new taxes received. So how do we do that? We're going to rely on a little help from our friends. So we've created new committees inside the EDC. We've got a real estate and development committee, which really their focus is all on the real estate whenever it comes to what's going on in the area, helping out local developers and planning on what areas should probably be pushed more than others, along with that virtual tour thing that we discussed earlier. We have a business committee. This is going to give us leads and help us assist with helping out local businesses, but then also trying to target new businesses. Which ones should we bring in that are really complementary to our current businesses? And last but not least is the workforce. So we're already getting orders. We've joked that we said that we've gone into places and we said, yeah, we're planning on doing some attraction. And they're like, great, can I make an order? Like, people, I need 20 of these or 30 of that. So when we get this put together, we're planning on working with a lot of the HR professionals and putting together packages and marketing via LinkedIn and Facebook and a lot of other methodologies that are out there to push out to talent to help not only attract ones, but to let everybody know how great things are here to keep them around as well. And finally, the dashboard keeping score. As I mentioned, we've got funnels. So each one of our committees has its own funnel. This is going to be pushed out. These are the soft goals right now. As you saw with the businesses and the conversions, doing 20 projects in 1 year could sound aggressive. It really depends on the size of the projects, but that's what we're shooting for right now. So we're hoping for 5 building projects in the commercial world. Those could be either remodels, revamps, or brand new projects. 20 businesses, that could be an expansion, that could be an attraction, new business coming in. And then talent, we're hoping to land 100 a year, hopefully more than that, because we're going to need them coming up. So also, again, anyone on the call that I've targeted that you would be considered talent, follow up with me afterwards. Love to show you around the community. So how you can help. This is still going on. You can see the banners up all over the place. We really need to push the Community Confident campaign because the uncertainty, just like economic development, kills more deals than anything else. But we need to make everybody stay safe. And you can do that by really pushing best practices. If you are a business that's out there and you want to set up a BRE appointment, you can give Amber a call and schedule one. We can do them via Zoom. But we want to make sure that you're aware of what tools that we have here. Thank you for doing business. And especially if we're going to be working on the workforce attraction side, if you need people, let us know and we'll start putting together packages that can help lure in talent to our community. And then those of you in the development space, if you've got properties, we've got great relationship with our local commercial realtors, get new property updates all the time. And we have a lot of projects coming from the state of Illinois, which is wonderful. and we get a lot of RFP, requests for proposals in. And we're happy to say we're still in the running for some major projects. We're like one of 5 finalists for a really big one right now. So without those properties in the system, we're not in the game. So we need to make sure that we have every available property in town in our system so that when we submit, we can compete. And then last but not least, if you want to join the EDC and talk strategy and find out how you can be a part of this going forward, give me a call, shoot me an email. And then as promised, if you text BN plan to 22828, you'll get a link that will give you for the strategic plan so that you can download. And with that, I have saved enough time, it's about 45 minutes, yep, for questions. So if there's any questions that are out there from any of the attendees, I believe that you should be able to type them in the question box below. If not, you can always give me a call or shoot me an email, but we're very excited about this plan and showing you not only that we have a plan, but that we're working the plan. So now in these quarterly updates, we will have the dashboard that's available. Currently, we do send our board weekly updates. We're working on updates for our investors monthly, and then we'll do public ones every quarter. All right, I'm not seeing any questions for myself or the panelists. Got a nice job. But other than that, I'm really looking forward to seeing you guys in person again. You know, the Zoom is handy because I've got all my notes and everything in front of me, but it'll be nice to be back at ISU as we discussed, or at Wesleyan. We will also have a link on social media later for the strategic plan, but the easiest